stock analysis updates for Greatland Gold. Greatland Gold, a gold exploration company, they're listed on AIM, but also are planning a listing on the Australian Stock Exchange June of next year. And their main project is the Valuation project in Australia. Get this wonderful graphic from their website, the Valuation site, and this is the plan for the mine. The actual decline to the mining area is currently 80% completed. So it is quite good that as a exploration play, it is fairly advanced. They also have a reasonable quantity of exploration licenses, all close to the Valuation project. These ones in yellow, they own 100% of, whereas the ones in red, they have partnerships with Newcrest. Newcrest have actually only just been taken over by Newmont. And then these blue ones, they've recently gone into a farming deal with Rio Tinto. Now, this Telfer mine, they've just acquired, and I'll go into that in a minute. But essentially, they've got all of the ore processing facilities here, and they've got quite a sizable portfolio now, which, as they make gold discoveries, they'll be able to process using this Telfer plant. Now, I last did a video on Greatland Gold about a year ago, and in that video, although I was actually quite interested in Greatland Gold, they only actually owned 30% of the Valuation project, with the rest of the 70% being owned by Newcrest. And Newcrest had just been taken over by Newmont. So I didn't really want to go in because I was worried that Newmont would scrap the project. This here represents when I did that video. And since then, they did this farming agreement with Rio Tinto. Actually, when you look at the deal, Greatland Gold only have to pay about 22 million Australian dollars to do a certain amount of drilling exploring these projects, and in return, they end up with a 75% stake in these areas. Now, though on the one hand that looks like a great deal, you do have to wonder why are Rio prepared to give away 75% of these territories for just 20 odd million? Still, it does only add to the fact that they've got a lot of interest around this area. So the whole story does fit together well when you consider that it's all going to be processed via this Telfer mine. Then, only in the last few weeks, there was this announcement where Greatland Gold were going to acquire the entire Valuation project by buying the 70% portion of Newmont, and also bundled into the deal is Newmont's Telfer mine and actually its mine production. It's got about a year's mine production left, with potential for further extensions to that. So the capital raises have been completed. They've raised 325 million in a capital raise, plus 6.7 million in a retail raise, and they've got a syndicate of banks to agree to 775 million debt facility to enable the development of the mine. That's how subject to final approval, but they've been promised this in some letter from this banking syndicate. So they've bought the 70% stake in the Valuation project off Newmont, plus they've gained Newmont's Telfer mine. And they've done this by paying them 207 million in cash, plus they'll pay them 100 million on first production. And they've also issued $168 million worth of shares, making Newmont actually now 20% owner of Greatland Gold. So just to be clear, these are the final hurdles before we get to that payday. They've got to clear the aquifer which the incline has encountered. However, that's the third of three aquifers that they have come across. So I think they probably will achieve that quite easily. They've got to complete this buyout, which is probably just a formality, and that's scheduled by the end of this year. They're going to do a listing, which on the Australian Stock Exchange by June next year, which will provide some helpful extra cash. Now, they've been told that they've been given a promise letter off this banking syndicate, but they will still need to finalise getting this 650 million term debt facility plus a 100 million revolving credit facility, and that will have to be done by December next year. And then there'll need to be a feasibility study approval by December next year. and then we're looking at first ore in 2026 and first gold by 2027. So although there is though quite a lot of work there, it all looks fairly reasonable. It looks like they're going to have the funding they need. The mine's 80% of its way to the actual ore body already. Plus, they'll now own this Telfer mine. And so the whole thing fits together with them exploring all of these targets surrounding it, and with Havieron actually close to first ore. So really, with Greatland Gold, it's all about the valuation. Now, in the previous video I did, they had a market cap of 0.4 billion, and I'd done a very rough calculation that the gold was worth 1.6 billion. However, I obviously got that very wrong based on later calculations, which I'll come across in a minute. And all I can say is I had no idea what I was doing with those estimations. Since then, I did some videos on Cornish metals, and I got a lot better at doing my estimations of what these mining projects are worth. And I did these calculations of my own for Cornish metals. When they actually came out with their own estimation about a few months later, actually the number I got was bang on the number that they came out with, giving me a bit of confidence in my modeling. So I took a look at the numbers in the latest Greatland Gold presentation for mine life, pre-production capex, all-in sustaining cash costs, and the total life of mine production. And I plugged this into my model to come out with this data. Now, because Greatland Gold used a gold price of about £1,500 sterling, I used that for my model as well. And this got me to a net present value of about 1.2 billion. So I've got, just for Havieron, this 1.2 billion estimation. However, in Greatland Gold's presentation, they come up with a value of only half a billion. You've got to be careful here but when you go through this, because these numbers are in Australian dollars. So my numbers double theirs. So that could be one of two reasons. It's either because I've got my maths wrong, or it might be something to do with the fact that they're taking on this Telfer project as well. There's presumably this project's only, this mine's in the last year of its life. So there's presumably all kinds of costs associated with that. Now, of course, they used a 1.5 grand gold price, but you know, what if we use today's gold price, which would be about £2,000 sterling? And then, really, it would be, you know, even if you doubled Greatland Gold's prediction, it would only be like £1 billion project. However, although the market cap was only 0.4 billion before, now at 7p, with all that share issuance to complete this deal, they've got a staggering 13 billion shares in issue, making their market cap now 0.9 billion. So sadly, even if you were to double Greatland Gold's estimates, they're only really matching their market cap. So, as they say in their presentation slide here, you know, there are potential upsides, like they could extend the mine life, or they could have exploration success. But really, on the basis of the Telfer mine that they've acquired, plus this Havieron project, the current share price is only really a reflection of the current value of this project if they do get over all those hurdles. So my view on Greatland Gold really is there's no fantastic upside just based on the Havieron project on its own. So they don't really interest me. There is potential for exploration success. So just like with any exploration company, you can take a bet on them. And I'd say they're probably one of the better held together companies of all the exploration companies I've been looking at. But it's not worth investing them just for the Havieron project, given the current market cap, thanks to the share dilution. Myself, after looking at loads of different gold stocks, I ended up just putting my money into this gold investment fund. It has all of the biggest and best gold miners in the world. And as you can see, they've all been going up a lot in the last year. And actually, I've got a 35% return on this investment already this year. So I've got my gold fix. I don't really feel the need to go gambling on the likes of Greatland Gold, although I'm sure they're going to do very well anyway, as I think most companies in the gold sectors will. Before I finish, because I forgot to say at the start, please remember I just do these videos just for fun as a hobby, and always speak to a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decision. And thanks for watching my video. I do videos like this one just for fun as a hobby. It's for entertainment purposes only. Always consult a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decision.